There's your music intro. That was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Probably a number of you don't even know who they are. Okay, so Math 58. This is your 5.5 video lecture, and here we go. I'm gonna bring up the camera. This first sheet here just gives an overview of all the identities. Most of them we've done. Now you have access to them. For instance, Pythagorean, it's been a while. We've used that one there, sine squared theta plus cosine squared equals 1. That's used a lot. These are two other ones. We've done the sum difference ones. That's in what, 5.2, I guess. And double angle, half angle, we've done those. I think that was 5.3. That's the double angle, and on the flip side was the half angle. That. Yeah, these guys right here, that would be 5.3. These are others we have not done. If you think about how this one might have been found, look at sine squared theta right here, and look at the cosine 2 theta. That's a double angle right there. All they're doing is taking one of the formulas for cosine 2 theta and solving for sine squared. I'll show you. Double angle. Okay. So let's see, I think it was this one here. So algebraically solve for sine squared theta, and then you've got the formula on the other side. So that's all that one. So these here easily can be found or used using double angles. The other ones that are a little obscure that I'm not going to cover are these two right here. So I would say on the exam, which is probably what you're thinking about, you won't be using these on the exam, so don't worry about those, nor those guys on the exam. Okay, next section, it's called the Trig Equations. And I did skip 5.4 because those last identities were in 5.4, but we're not covering those. This section, I'm going to be showing you how to use your technology to find the solutions to the trig equations. Okay, yeah, let's just keep going. What we're going to do is graph. I'm going to show you the graphing calculator. You're going to locate the x-intercepts, and then let's see. If you've got an 83, 84, we're going to use the graphing feature right here. I can't remember if there's anybody that had an 89 or a 92. I don't think there was. There might have been a couple of you that said they had the Inspire. So there's a nice feature on those, but since I'm not there to show you, I'm not going to do them. You're on your own. I will do the 83, 84. So for instance, you've got an equation right here, and your job is to try to solve for x. And if you think about solving for x algebraically, that's not a challenging thing, except there's a bunch of answers possibly in between 0 to 2 pi. But just the algebra right here, I'll just show you the algebra down here. You don't have to do this on your homework nor the exam. But I just think it's worthy of doing the algebra, demonstrating it. So here's your equation. Your job is to get the x by itself. So algebra would say move the 1 first. So you got 2 sine x is equal to 1. Divide by 2. And if you think about it before I even solve for x, tell me an angle that if you took the sine of it would give you a half. I'll say it one more time. Sine of 30 degrees is a half. So one of the answers is 30 degrees. Okay, what else? would give you a sine to be a half? I think 150 degrees, I think. You know, check it out and look on your wheel. And if it turns out that the y value is a half at 150 degrees, then you found another answer. And you could go around and around and around multiple periods, but this is telling us I only want between 0 and 2 pi or 0 and 360 degrees. And these are the only two answers. However, if you solve for x and you went x is equal to sine inverse of a half, which works, but it only finds you one of the answers. There are two answers. This will only find one answer because of the way it's defined. These are the two answers. So I'm going to show you how to find those using your graphing calculator and using what's called the zero feature. The zero feature you would have learned in, say, a 155 class or an intermediate algebra class. Maybe even in your Math 25 class if you ended up having already taken Math 25. And a few of you are actually taking Math 25 concurrently. So maybe you've already looked at the zero feature, which finds the x-intercepts. So here we go. In your grapher, you're going to type this in. So here's my calculator. Find that. So my calculator, when I say grapher, I mean you're going to go y equals, and I don't like this stuff here, so I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to type in 2 sine x, close the parentheses, and then subtract 1. Now, I need to set my windows. I'm going to put it in degree mode because it's going to be easier to find the x-intercepts. If you find the x-intercepts in radian mode, you're going to get the decimal equivalent to, what is that, pi over 6? You won't get exactly pi over 6, and that's what I'm looking for is exact answers. So I think it's easier to identify the degrees, of course, and so I'm in degree mode. And at the end, if on the multiple choice version of the test, you have this, they're looking for the answers in radians. Isn't it easy to convert this to radians, which is pi over 6, and then this would be x is equal to 5 pi over 6, I believe. That should be easy for you, and then you pick your answer on the multiple choice answer, not in degree, but in radian. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now degree mode, check the degree mode. See, I'm in radian. So I'm going to go over to degree. And what do we want to do? Set the window feature. Now the window feature is a button that's right here. So press that, and you're going to be able to tell the calculator how far left do you want to go. And that's identified. This is your x min. That's a degree. And so what I'm going to type in is 0 degrees, and your x max is 360. Now the scaling here is just, I guess a helpful marker as you go along. Just, I mean, you can leave it, I don't know if you can put 0 or not. This is the degree. You don't want to put 1 degree because you're going to have 361 tick marks on the x-axis. You don't want that. I don't know, 90 degrees, 180, I'll go 90. That means you're going to have at 90 degrees in every night multiple of 90 degrees after that, you're going to have a tick mark on your x-axis. So we'll just leave it like that, and you'll see what happens. So now the y minimum. Now you can look in here and say, here's your amplitude, 2. That's an idea. Ultimately, all we need is the x-intercept. So ultimately, you don't need to see how high and low you go, but I'll do the amplitude. It's good review. So we go -2. Although, if you think about this, I'm going to change my mind. If I think about this, this is a transformation and it goes down. Your picture goes down. So even though you got an amplitude of 2, which is true, I won't see that nice curve. You won't see this thing here in your graphing calculator screen. You won't see that because the -1 moves that picture down. So let's not worry about how far up and down you go. Let's just say you'll always pick either -2 to 2, even -1 to 1 will work actually. So what do you want me to do? I think we'll just do always -1 to 1. It'll always work. Because all I'm looking for is the x-intercept, and you're going to see what happens by hitting graph. Keep my fingers crossed. All I'm looking for are the x-intercepts. That's it. Don't worry about drawing the picture. Just say, hey, there's an answer. Guess what that's going to be? 30 degrees. And guess what I'm hoping this one is? 150. That's what I'm hoping. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my feature in my calculator, which is called zero feature. And the way you find it is second calc. Here's my button, second calc, second calc. And most of you would probably remember that the zero feature from our previous class is the x-intercept. So let me do that again. I'll get out of this. If you want to find the zero feature, you go second calc and pick the 0. So toggle down, hit enter. All right, now what you want to do is answer the question to the calculator. This is the way I teach it. Some of you are familiar with doing this, so whatever way you can do to find that answer right there. Answer this question left bound. How far left is the calculator screen showing? It's 0. So pick something just to the right of that, but to the left of this. You want to be to the left of your dot. That's why I put it in red marker right there. To the left, but don't go off the screen. So I'm kind of guessing that it's 30 degrees. Of course, we knew that ahead of time. You can pick 1 degree. That'll work. 1 degree. That'll work. You kind of saw a little flash over here. It's hiding behind the y-axis. There's actually a marker, which I think it'll be a little more apparent when I pick something in between here. So it's not showing. To the right, though, pick something don't go too far to the right, because otherwise you capture a second x-intercept. Kind of go in between the 2 x-intercepts, like maybe right here. What's that, 90 degrees? 89 degrees? I'll type in 89. It doesn't matter, just as long as you're to the right. See, right bound, to the right of the dot. I'll type in 89, just to be different. Okay, now do you see the flag right there? That's your marker for right here, and it's going to look. See, it's pointing. I'm going to look this way, and the other one's hiding behind the y-axis. It's going to look in between here, and it's going to find the only x-intercept, which is right there. And then our calculator asks this question, do you want it to make a guess? And you say yes by hitting enter, and there you go. That's 30 degrees. And that's one of the answers, or pi/6. Now, what about the other one, which is right here? What you're going to do is start over again, which is second calc, and pick 2, pick 0. Now, the left bound of my red dot here, you need to pick something to the left over here. Don't go off the screen, and don't go to that cursor, don't go beyond that. Pick something in between here. Left bound, just type something in like, all right, we'll do 90 degrees this time. And now you see the flag, and it's pointing this way. So it's going to ignore anything over here. Right bound, pick anything to the right, anything, just don't go off the screen. Don't go beyond 360 degrees. All right, how about 350? That'll work, 350 degrees. Enter. So you get your flag way over here, and that's okay. It's going to look in between, and the only place where there's an x-intercept is right here. And if you wanted to make a guess, I do. Hit enter, and there's your 150 degrees. Okay, so that's what I'm teaching you. I'll do a number of other examples and go from there. Here's your answer, but in radians by the graphing calculator. Okay, next problem. Let's take a look and see what I got. So what you're going to do is you're going to go, now this one's a little different. If you noticed what happened on the previous one, I got to make a comment. You got to make sure, I even put it right here, that you set the equation equal to 0. That's the only way this is going to work, because it's called zeros. Find the zeros. Set it equal to 0. This one is not set equal to 0. So you're going to go 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x and subtract 1 and set that equal to 0. And then you go y equals and you graph that. Okay, here we go. Y equals, get rid of that. Type in our equation. So the square right here, you got to be careful. Hopefully you remember. It's the same thing as cosine x squared. Don't put the square on the x only. You got to put the square on the whole thing. So be careful of that. So I'm going to graph that. So I go 2. Now, it's not bracket. We only have parentheses. So go parentheses, cosine and then put in your x, close your parentheses, close parentheses, and now I put a power of 2 on that second set of parentheses. And then subtract cosine x, subtract 1. Then my instructions, what does it say? Yeah, let's go back and see what the instructions say. Make sure it's in degree mode. Check, I already know that. All right, let's see. Let's make sure that the window feature is this. It will be. It will be. Because I've set it up that way. Here, check it out. See, it is. So continue from here. We're going to find the 0 feature now. Well, you could graph it if you want to first and see what happens, and then do the 0 feature. It's totally up to you. Okay, there's one answer right there. There's a second one. Oh, a third one. And maybe even a fourth one. We'll have to consider what that looks like. Notice right here, you're not going to use the last one because the parentheses says, you can't use it. But the bracket here says, oh yeah, you want that one. So I believe 0 is one of the answers. By the way, here's how you can check this. You know, I wonder if x equals 0 degrees is an answer. And here's your check. You just put it in the equation. Cosine 0 degrees squared minus cosine of 0, subtract 1. I wonder if that equals to 0, question mark. Cosine of 0 is 1. Minus cosine of 0 again is 1. Minus 1. Oh yeah, check. That works. Oops. So now if I go back over here, you're looking for this one here. It looks like there's only 3 answers. That one we've already kind of guessed. there's one here, and there's another one. Remember, this is a 90-degree marker, so my next answer is beyond 90 degrees. This is like quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So I have an answer in quadrant 2 and 3. Should make sense because the, well, let's see, should that make sense? Now, let's just not retract my statement. It should make sense. Just know that that's how it's broken up, and there's going to be an answer in quadrant 2 and an answer in quadrant 3. Let's just go with that. So now what I'm going to do is I will go second calc 0, and I've got this one already. And I want to find that one. So left bound of that, let's go 90 degrees. See, left bound 90 degrees. Oh, there's my flag. Right bound, how about that next marker, which is 180? Answer, sure. And there it is, 120 degrees. Oh, yes. Okay, 120. Now, remember, x equals 0 radians is the same as x equals 0 degrees. And the reason why is this is radians. Radians. That's, when it says 0 to 2 pi, I want the answer in radians, not degrees, especially on the multiple choice version. If you have this, you're not even going to see the choices of degrees at all. I wouldn't do that, you know, to kind of mess you up. Pick the right answer in radians, and then you pick the right answer in degrees, even though that's correct. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Okay, x equals. Now, instead of 120 degrees, which is what that is, remember what that is? Okay, let's see, 60 degrees is pi over 3, and I have 2 of those pi's over 3. I think it's 2 pi over 3. You can check me out, see if that's true on your wheel. Okay, x1, the next one is, so we're taking care of that one. I want this one here. So you have to do the zoom, not zoom, you have to do the 0 feature again. All over again. So left bound, why don't you pick that marker right there, which is 180. And how about that marker to the right, which is another 90 degrees, 270. See the flags? It's going to look in between. And what's in between is that red dot, which is what I want. Hit enter. Okay, 240. 240 degrees. Okay, 240 degrees. Well, look at 240 degrees on your wheel and tell me what you got. 4, I think it's 4 pi's over 3. And there are your answers. Okay, next one. All right, this one here, we're gonna go y equals. Do cosine. Oh, gosh darn it, I'm gonna have to do this, that, this, cubed minus cosine of x is equal to 0. So 2 things. One is I've got to write it or type it in my calculator so that it's going to recognize the power 3 on the whole thing. And in the calculator, it'll be a parenthesis, not a bracket. So you guys know that in the calculator. And that's a 3, by the way. And then what's the other thing that I was going to say? I don't remember. Set equal to 0. So here we go. Start over again. Y equals. Get rid of that stuff. In parentheses, oop, not that one. Parentheses cosine x, parentheses raised to the, oh, close the parentheses. Got to raise that to the 3rd power. And then we'll subtract cosine x. I know I'm already set up for my calculator in my window feature. So I could graph if I wanted to. Let's see what I get. Okay, there's a possible 1 answer, 2, maybe 3, 4, and not going to use that one because remember, Here, you don't use it because it doesn't have a bracket. So I think I've got 4 answers I'm looking for. Looks like 0 is going to work. Check it out. You can go back to the original. Cosine 0 is 1. 1 cubed is 1. Cosine 0 is 1. 1 equals 1. Yep. So one of the answers is x equals 0 radians. Now I got to use my 0 feature. Let me go second calc 0. And I'm looking for that one. Oh, well, that looks like 90 degrees. Let's just double check. I'm going to go left to be, let's say, 45 degrees. And then right, if I think that's 90, pick something to the right of 90, like, I don't know, 95 degrees, 95. And hit enter. Yep, 90 degrees. So what's the radian measurement for 90? It's pi over 2. Okay, next one looks like 180. So second calc 0. So I think it's this one. I think it's that. So how about, if that's 180, how about something to the left is 170, something to the right is 190. See if that works. So yeah, it's pretty much 180 degrees. It's going to be 180. Sometimes the calculator does that. If you do it again, you'll end up getting x equals 3 pi over 2, and you found your 4 answers now. And finally, this one. Yeah, well, you don't have buttons that say cosecant and cotangent. So I'm going to highly recommend, or recommend, this is how you're going to do it with the calculator. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So do 1 over sine x plus 1 over tangent x. And don't forget to bring that over to the left to set it equal to 0, so subtract 1. All right, let's put this in my calculator. Y equals, get rid of that. Fraction. 1 over sine x. You see that? Zoom in here. 1 over sine x, then you're going to go, well, that was weird. Don't want that. Let's try this again. Okay, so 1 over sine, no, x, close the parentheses, scoot over. Okay, I think I got it now, plus, and that would be 1 over tan, and then subtract 1. Graph. Oh, there's one answer. One answer. Okay, easy enough. 0. Okay, you want to pick something to the left. Looks like it's 90 degrees or pi over 2, but pick something to the left. How about 10 degrees? That's to the left. And then how about 180 over there? 180. And then hit enter. Guess. Yes. Sure enough, 90. Okay, so let's see. So it looks like, it seems like to me, when I go through this process, instead of the algebra, your textbook is going to go through the algebra, which is hard. It's all factoring solving. I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to give you the easy way, which I think is this is so much easier. Use the technology and come up with the result, and just know that you could replace the variable with that answer to check it should you want to. Okay, I know that there's others, examples. I don't think I need to go through anymore because the process is the same. So text me, not text me, email me, or ask me in a study session if there's anything else that you're stuck on in this 5.5. Okay, there's your instruction for 5.5 for today. Signing off.